First woman president in India. Pratibha Devi Singh Patil is an Indian politician and lawyer who served as the 12th President of India from 2007 to 2012. She was the first woman to become the President of India. Who was the first Indian woman to swim across the English Channel? Arati Sahar was the first Indian swimmer to cross the English Channel in 1959. In 1960, she became the first Indian sportswoman to be awarded the Padma Shri, the fourth highest civilian honor in India. Who was the first Indian woman to get Jnanpith Award? In 1976, Bengali novelist Ashapurna Devi became the first woman to win the award and was honored for the 1965 novel Prothom Protishruti, The First Promise, the first in a trilogy. Who was the first Indian woman to get Bharat Ratna? Indira Gandhi. She was the first female Prime Minister of India and was conferred with the Bharat Ratna in 1971. She was elected as the President of the Congress Party in 1959. Who was the first Indian woman to become Miss Universe? Sushmita Sen made history by becoming India's first Miss Universe. After 29 years, she fondly remembers the day. Who was the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest twice? Santosh Yadav, born the 10th of October 1967, is an Indian mountaineer. She is the first woman in the world to climb Mount Everest twice and the first woman to successfully climb Mount Everest from Kangshung Face. Who was the first Indian to become Miss World? Rita Faria won every heart by becoming the first Asian to win the Miss World crown in 1966. She created history and inspired many numerous young women who were just beginning to set foot into the outside world. Her courage and determination played a significant role in her victory. Who was the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest? Bachendri Pal, born the 24th of May 1954, is an Indian mountaineer. In 1984, she became the first Indian woman to climb the summit of the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest. She was awarded the third highest civilian award in India, Padma Bhushan, by the Government of India in 2019. Who was the first Indian woman to get a Nobel Prize? Mother Teresa was the first Indian woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She was born on August 26, 1910. She founded the Missionaries of Charity in 1950. She was also awarded the Raman Magsaysay Peace Prize in 1962. First Indian woman ambassador to the United Nations. Vijayalakshmi Pandit was an Indian freedom fighter, diplomat and politician. She served as the 8th President of the United Nations General Assembly from 1953 to 1954, the first woman appointed to either post. She was also the third governor of Maharashtra from 1962 to 1964. Noted for her participation in the Indian independence movement, she was jailed several times during the movement. First woman Prime Minister of India? Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi was an Indian politician and stateswoman who served as the third Prime Minister of India from 1966 to 1977 and again from 1980 until her assassination in 1984. Who was the first woman in India to get Ashok Chakra? Nirja Bhanot was the first woman in India to get Ashok Chakra and also the youngest person to receive the award. Nirja Bhanot was an Indian flight purser. On the 5th of September 1986, she saved a large number of passengers on board Pan Am Flight 73, which had been hijacked by 4 Palestinian terrorists from the Abu Nadal organization after it made a stopover at Jinnah International Airport in Pakistan. Who was the first woman judge of the Supreme Court? Justice M. Fatima Bibi holds a special place in India's history as the first woman to become a judge in the Supreme Court. Her appointment in 1989 was a groundbreaking moment that opened doors for women in the highest court of the country. Who was the first woman president of INC? Annie Besant was the first woman president of Indian National Congress. She presided over the 1917 Calcutta session of the Indian National Congress. Who was the first women union minister? Rajkumari Amrit Kaur was an Indian activist and politician. Following her long-lasting association with the Indian independence movement, she was appointed the first Union Minister and Health Minister of India in 1947 and remained in office until 1957. Who was the first women Chief Minister of the state? Sucheta Kripalani of the Indian National Congress Party was sworn in on the 2nd of October 1963 as Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. First women IPS officer? Kiran Bedi, born June 9, 1949, in Amritsar, India, is an Indian social activist who was the first woman to join the Indian Police Service, IPS, and who was instrumental in introducing prison reform in India. Who was the first woman ruler on Delhi's throne? Razia Sultana was the first woman Sultanate of India, and ruled the court of Delhi from the end of 1236 to 1240. The only woman to do so. She defied all odds to occupy the throne, including overcoming conflicts over her gender and her slave ancestry. First woman governor of India? Sarojini Naidu. She was the first woman governor of Uttar Pradesh of Free India from the 15th of August 1947 to the 2nd of March 1949. She was an active participant in the Indian freedom movement. She also took part in the Quit India movement in 1942. Who was the first Indian woman to win WTA title? Sania Mirza was the first Indian woman to win WTA title. She had won 6 Grand Slam titles in her career. She was named in Time magazine's 2016 list of the 100 most influential people in the world. Who was the first Indian woman pilot of Indian Airlines? Durba Banerjee. After joining the Air Survey of India, Captain Durba Banerjee joined Indian Airlines in 1956 in Calcutta, where she became India's first woman commercial pilot. Who was the first Indian woman to fly an aircraft? Sarla Thukral is a trailblazer who serves as an inspiration to women around the world. At the young age of 21, Sarla, dressed in a traditional sari, stepped into the cockpit of a small double-winged plane for her first solo flight, making history. Who was the first Indian woman to win gold in Asian Games? Kamaljeet Sandhu, born the 20th of August 1948, is a female Indian athlete who won gold medal at 1970 Bangkok Asian Games in 400 meters race. She ran the distance in 57.3 seconds. She is the first Indian woman athlete to win an individual gold medal at Asian Games. First Indian woman to win a Booker Prize. Arundhati Roy. She was the first Indian woman to win the Man Booker Prize in the year 1997. Who was the first Indian musician to win Bharat Ratna? M.S. Subbulakshmi, who was then aged 82, received the award for her distinguished career as a singer in the Carnatic tradition. Renowned for her extraordinary voice and often hailed as the Queen of Songs, Subbulakshmi was the first ever musician to receive the accolade. First Indian woman to go into space. Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian woman to go to space. She was an Indian-born American astronaut who flew on 2 space shuttle missions. She died in the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster in 2003. Who was the first female Speaker of Lok Sabha? Meera Kumar, born the 31st of March 1945, is an Indian politician and former diplomat. A member of the Indian National Congress, she was the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment from 2004 to 2009, the Minister of Water Resources for a brief period in 2009. Who was the first female Secretary General of India? Snehata Srivastav. Snehata Srivastav is a former Indian Administrative Service officer and civil servant who served as the Secretary General of the Lok Sabha from the 10th of December 2017 to the 30th of November 2020. She served as the first woman Secretary General of the Lok Sabha. She belonged to 1982 batch of the Madhya Pradesh cadre. Who was the first female Deputy Chairperson of the Rajya Sabha? Violet Hari Alva was an Indian lawyer, journalist, politician, and Deputy Chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, and member of the Indian National Congress. She was the first woman lawyer to appear before a high court in India and the first to preside over the Rajya Sabha. Who was the first female member of parliament? Radhabai Subbarayan, politician. Kailash Radhabai Subbarayan was an Indian politician, women's rights activist, and social reformer. She was the wife of Indian politician P. Subbarayan and the mother of Mohan Kumaramangalam, P. P. Kumaramangalam, and Parvati Krishnan.